Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's this morning's class is from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 5, and we're doing text 77, 78, and 79. So 77 to 79. Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari, Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari, Yashodanandana Vrajanaranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajanaranjana, Jamuna Tira Vanachari, Jamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari, Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari, Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana, Jamuna Tira Vanachari, Jamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jayam Vishnu Paramhamsa Parivajakachaja Stotra Satsisimaris Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shiva Ki Jai Nityananda Pravishtam Vishnu Paramhamsa Parivajakachaja Stotra Satsisimaris Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavindi Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Prem Sikahu Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Shiva Shadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shami Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Mathura Dham Ki Jai, Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Swami Ki Jai, गंगा माई की जय, जमुना माई की जय, तुलसी देवी की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय, सामवेद भक्त बिंद की जय, निताय गौर प्रभुनंदे, हरि हरि बोल. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Guru and Guru Nanak Prabhupada. नमो विष्णुपराय कृष्ण कृष्णाय भूतले श्रीमती भक्ति तीर्थ स्वामी नित्य नामिने नमस्ते कृष्णपराय प्रभुपाद सिद्धात्मनि श्री गौर कवि शक्ति जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय द्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय द्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Guru Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila Chapter 5 It's about the glories of Lord Balaram. Text 77 Vishnostu Trinirupani Purushakyanya Vidu Ekam tu Mahata Shastrim Vitiyam Twanda Samstitam Tritiyam Sarvabhutastam Tani Gyatva Vimuchate. Word for word. Vishnu, of Lord Vishnu. Two, certainly. Trini, three. Rupani, forms. Purusha Akyani, celebrated as the Purusha. Atho, how? Vidu, they know. Ekam, one of them. Two, but. Mahata Shastri, the creator of the total material energy. Dvitiyam, the second. Two, but. Andasam Stitam, situated within the universe. Tritiyam, the third. Sarvabhutastam, within the hearts of all living entities. Tani, these three. Gyatva, knowing. Vimuchate, one becomes liberated. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Vishnu has three forms called Purushas. The first, Mahavishnu, is the creator of the total material energy, Mahat. The second is Garbhodakshai, who is situated within each universe. And the third is Shirodakshai, who lives in the heart of every living being. He who knows these three becomes liberated from the clutches of Maya. Purport. This verse appears in the Lagu Bhagavatamrita Purva 2.9, where it has been quoted from the Satvata Tantra. Text 78. Yadyapi kahiti tanre Krishna kalakari Matsya kumadi avatari ratinku avatari. Word for word. Yadyapi, although Kahiye, I say, Tanre to him, Krishnera of Lord Krishna, Kala, part of the part, Kari, making, Matsya, the fish incarnation, Kurma Adi, the tortoise incarnation, and others. Avatarira, of all these incarnations, Tinho, he, Avatari, the original source. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Although Karanadaksha Vishnu is called a Kala of Lord Krishna, he is the source of Matsya, Kurma, and other incarnations. Text 79. Iti chamsa kala punsha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Vedayanti Yuge Yuge Iti chamsa kala punsha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Vedayanti Yuge Yuge Iti chamsa kala punsam Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Vedayanti Yuge Yuge. Hare Krishna. We'd like to welcome some of the devotees of disciples of Chandamali Swami who are on this morning. He's traveling to Gitanagari now for the 20th anniversary of Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj's disappearance. So for those of you who come, we can, in fact, we allow devotees to repeat the text. So this text 79 is open now. You can unmute yourself and repeat the Sanskrit. Anyone? Hare Krishna.
Ete chamsha kala pumsha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Vridyanti Yuge Yuge. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Anyone else? All right, we'll go to the word for word. Ete, all these. Cha, also. Amsakala, part or part of the part. Pumsa, of the Supreme Person. Krishna, too, but Lord Krishna. Bhagavan, the original personality of Godhead. Swayam, himself. Indra Ari, the demons. Vyakulam, disturbed. Lokam, all the planets. Vedayanti, makes them happy. Yuge Yuge, in different millenniums. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. All these incarnations of Godhead are either plenary portions or parts of the plenary portions of the Purusha avatars. But Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. In every age, he protects the world through his different features when the world is disturbed by the enemies of Indra. Purport. This quotation is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 3, Text 28. Oma Gyanati Mirandasya Gyana Gyanashalakaya Chakshu Umnitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Nama Om Vishnu Kadaya Krishna Peshtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshacharini Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Pramapadayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gorachache Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Shiva Shadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. So we'll do the text again. Text 77, the English translation. Vishnu has three forms called Purushas. The first, Mahavishnu, is the creator of the total material energy, Mahat. The second is Garbhodakshai, who is situated within each universe. And the third is Kshirodakshai, who lives in the heart of every living being. He who knows these three becomes liberated from the clutches of Maya. Text 78. Although Karandakshaya Vishnu is called a Kala of Lord Krishna, he is the source of Matsya, Kurma, and other incarnations. Text 79. All these incarnations of Godhead are either plenary portions or parts of the plenary portion of the Purusha avatars. But Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. In every age, he protects the world through his different features when the world is disturbed by the enemies of Indra. Hare Krishna. So, this particular part of Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's a description of the different Vishnus and their connection to some of even the Lila avatars of the Lord. So starting from text 77, chapter 5, text 77. Vishnu has three forms, and they are called Purusha, or sometimes Purusha avatars. First one, Mahavishnu. He is the creator of the total material energy. The Mahatattva comes through Mahavishnu. Specifically, the universes come through the pores of the Lord. The planet that we live on now, the Earth planet, Bhumi, is considered a small planet. And even to us, it's huge. And it's just one of planets, a lot of planets in this particular universe. The universe has 14 planetary systems, and each planetary system has a lot of planets in it. So the idea from science that we have only 9 bodies like that, planets, you can throw it out the window quickly. Actually, there are other scientists that's disproven that already, even though it may still be in the books. I don't know. It's been a while since I looked at anything involving what science has talked about creation. They don't have that good instruments to actually find out things that are far away. So, of course, they will make all kinds of assumptions. They call it hypothesis. But there are planetary systems in every universe. Mahavishnu is the one through whom every universe comes, but not with the variety that we're used to. In other words, like if you start making something, you can start with the lump, they say, of clay. And you can decide to make one structure with the clay. Kids can make something for play, and adults can make a whole pot out of clay. And then later on, put it in a kiln and heat it up, and it becomes a useful pot for whatever the purpose is that they want to use it for. So the universe comes like that without the ingredients for the varieties are in it, but the actual positioning of the varieties to make different structures, that's not done yet. That's the next stage. So when these universes come out, and they come out when Mahavishnu is breathing out. So Mahavishnu, just like we breathe, he breathes, but it's a long, long breath, considered based on our time. Then he expands to Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is situated within the universe, which means Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is literally, by comparison, the soul of the universe. Each universe's soul is actually Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And he's also the one who trains Lord Brahma, gives birth to Lord Brahma, and trains him on how to now take the unmanifested situations, the things that have not been changed into structures, and change them to structures. So the universes now become universes containing planets. So Lord Brahma makes the planets come to being. He's the engineer, taking all of these and making different structures out of it. He also is the one who's the source of the demigods. And then the demigods are assigned the various duties to run the universe that they're in. Lord Brahma is the engineer, but he becomes the overall, the top personality, clearly, because it's through him. But he can only do that through the help of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Mm. Later on, his planet, Brahmaloka, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu does in fact travel there, stay with Lord Brahma. He moves different places, just like we are likely to move, travel and so on. So he also does that. Mm. Then Garbhodakshaya Vishnu expands to Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. Now, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, as Srila Prabhupada translates here, he lives in the heart of every living being. Now, that's the part that's been discussed here. So first, Mahavishnu, the universes come through Mahavishnu, and also Mahavishnu establishes time. That's from him, Mahavishnu. So when the universes come to being, then of course the universes will come to being after for a while, and then they'll go back into the body of Mahavishnu. There's creation, maintenance, and annihilation. So Mahavishnu establishes time as the universes come. That's also another thing that he does. And then through him, when he expands to Garbhodakshaya Vishnu goes to each universe. And that's why we say it's like the soul of the universe, because the soul enters us as bodies. And we are functioning because of the bodies that the souls that are in us. So the universe functions because of the presence of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Now, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu expands to Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. And now, this is how the Lord becomes very personal. In the very heart of every living being, regardless of the level of intelligence of that being, the Lord is there. Now, there is this particular type of body, the human body. It is a very, very important body because that's the one whose intelligence is at the point where we can understand things that other bodies in non-human forms cannot understand. So the human body is an extremely important body because it's an escape body. We are in jail. All of these creations are for those who were against Krishna, trying to take Krishna's position, even though Krishna warned when we're in the spiritual world not to do that, but we still wanted to be our own bosses. Those people have been put in these different planets to try to live out being the boss. It doesn't work, but we try to live out like that. Those who are not in illusion realize that it doesn't work. But those who are in illusion trying to be the boss. And of course, others are trying to be the boss too. Everybody has the same thing. So what happens? They butt heads. And that's why wars happen. At the national level, people disagree and then they start fighting and killing each other. Doesn't make any sense, but that's what people do at the national level and international level. Kshirodakshaya Vishnu lives in the heart of every living being. Actually, goes even more than that. Kshirodakshaya Vishnu lives within each atom of the universe. Each atom. So the Lord's presence is there. And this is the mercy of the Lord because we have left the spiritual world. He is not obliged to come to the material world. He's not obliged to. In fact, he's not obliged by any law to do anything. He does as he likes. But out of his own mercy, he decides to come, and his love, he decides to come and be with us. But still, he doesn't push us to do anything. Whatever we want to do, it's based on our own free choice. In the spiritual world, there's also free choice, except that those in the spiritual world are always connected in love to Krishna and Krishna's servants. And they serve each other, so they live extremely, extremely happily. That's why the soul is Satchit Ananda. Ananda means bliss. Happiness is an understatement. Extreme happiness is what's there. The happiness you can never believe. There are other books that describe the spiritual world. Brihad Bhagavatamrita is one of them. And even as it tries to describe Gopakumara, who's the main personality in this, describing his experiences, he would say to some extent, but then he would say, it's hard to describe everything, how wonderful it is. And this is where Srila Prabhupada is preparing us to go to. So how fortunate we are if we take this process seriously. So one who knows, this is the rest of it, one who knows the Mahavishnu is the creator of the total material energy. Carbon dioxide Vishnu is within each universe, and Shri dioxide Vishnu lives within the heart of every living being. You know this, that is liberation in of itself. Because those who are not liberated take it the other way. They don't know this. They don't know this. And a person who knows that it is all through, even in this material energy, it is through the mercy and the power of Krishna that all of these are existing. All of these are there. So then the person who knows that, it's like part of Sankhya philosophy. Sankhya philosophy talks about the material energy and then also spirituality to make the person choose what's best for them. So that's why this is saying that he who knows this information, who the three Purushas are, he becomes liberated because they'll make a choice to live life based on what they know about Krishna. It is actually through Krishna that all of these come to being. So we'll break it down a little bit more. From Krishna, who is the sum total of everything, all incarnations, all expansions. The first expansion is Balaram. And this chapter talks about Balaram. First, the plenary expansion. Plenary means total. Everything is there. It's Balaram. Then Balaram expands to the different forms. Chatu Viha. Chatu means four. Forms is Vyuha. So four forms, Vasudev, Anirudh, Sankarshan, and Pradyumna. And they expand to Lord Narayan. Lord Narayan is Krishna's expansion as the Lord of each Vaikuntha planet. Lord Narayan expands to the secondary set of Chaturvyuha, Vasudev, Anirudh, Sankarshan, Pradyumna. And that Sankarshan is given the name Mahasankarshan because it's through him, this Sankarshan of the second set of the four forms of expansion of the Lord. It's through him, Mahasankarshan, that these three Purushas come to being. Mahavishnu, and then who expands to Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and who expands to Shuddhadakshaya Vishnu. So these Vishnus do so much, but they also have their abodes where they interface, for lack of a better word, with devotees who are around them. There's so much written about them, again, in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, in, say, for example, just take Brahmaloka. The sages in Brahmaloka are performing yagyas. There's so much, this is on it, this constantly. They do pujas, they have ghee, and they put it in the fire just like we used to, at a mini level that we do here on this planet, they do it in a huge level. And they chant mantras, praising the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mahavishnu is invited, and the prasad from that, from the yagya, is shared, and he gets a share, like that. So that goes on. So Mahavishnu sometimes visits Brahmaloka. Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, literally in the nighttime, when Lord Brahma goes to sleep, not Lord Brahma's night that we're talking about, which lasts 4,320,000,000 years. When he goes to sleep, he goes back on that lotus, the lotus that he came from. That's where he sleeps, right next to Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. This is all in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So there's interface like that going on, relationship going on. Shuddhadakshaya Vishnu expands, and he's in the heart of every living entity, and also in the atom. But he's also lying in the milk ocean, Svetadweep. So of course, the Lord can be in several places at once. So all these pastimes are going on. Sometimes in Brahmaloka, sometimes lying on the ocean. There's more to even talk about, but this is only text 77, so we'll go to the other ones. We don't want to stay on that one the whole time. So that's these three Purushas. Now, Karanodakshaya Vishnu, this is for text 78. It's called a Kala. What's Kala? Well, Kala is the portion of a portion. And it's not too difficult to know it that way because we already started talking about the Lord expanding, the Lord Krishna expanding to Balaram, plenary portion of the Lord. And Balaram expands to the Chaturvyuha. So that the Chaturvyuha, Vasudeva, Anirudh, Sankarshan, and Pradyumna, they are collectively the portion of Lord Krishna. And they expand to Lord Narayan. So Lord Narayan is the portion of the portion of the portion of Krishna. Mm-hmm. And you can go on like that. Lord Narayan to the second Chaturvyuha, which is a portion of a portion of a portion of a portion of Krishna. So I have to say a portion of the portion 5 times just to get to Mahavishnu. So yeah, he is the portion of a portion. Karanodakshaya Vishnu is the same thing as Mahavishnu. Mm-hmm. He's a portion, 5th level down portion of Krishna. But even though he is that, there are incarnations for different pastimes of the Lord that come through Karanodakshaya Vishnu. In other parts of the scriptures, it will tell you that they come through Shirodakshaya Vishnu. Some of you may have read that and you will say that, in fact, more times. But we have to understand one thing. Karanodakshaya Vishnu, Mahavishnu, is the one who expands to Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and Garbhodakshaya expands to Shirodakshaya Vishnu. Then these incarnations, Matsya, Kurma, many others come through Shirodakshaya Vishnu. So even though the translation says that it's Karanodakshaya Vishnu that is the source of this, that is also correct. Because, say, your parent, and you have a child. So the expansion would take the expansion of you as the child. And the child buys something to give to you, the nice gift. And you're very happy to receive it. But the child doesn't have any money. The only way he was able to do that, to get a gift for you, is that money from you was given to the child, and the child bought it and gave to you. So actually, who is the source of the gift? The child? Not really. The child's emotions are the only thing attached to it. But without the money from you, that child couldn't have given you the gift. So you really are the source of that gift coming to being, even though it was given to you as an expression of love. So in the same way, Karanodakshaya Vishnu, here is saying that he's the source of Matsya and Kurma, even though it is in fact Karanodakshaya Vishnu that expands to Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, who expands to Shirodakshaya Vishnu, and these incarnations come from him. Still, he can be given, Mahavishnu or Karanodakshaya Vishnu can be given the credit that as being the source. Just like the parent really was the source for the money becoming possible for the child to be able to buy whatever they wanted to buy. Text 79. And that one is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 3, Text 28. The same shloka is there. Eticham sakala punsa Krishna stu bhagavan swayam indrari vakulam lokam vidayanti juge juge. All these incarnations of Godhead are either the plenary portions or parts of the plenary portions, as we talked about, of the Purusha avatars. But Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. It is through him that everything comes. There's some wonderful pastimes that that's in the I'll remember Garga Samhita. They came, explaining how. In fact, not even explaining how, it was just to show, literally, where Krishna showed that he was the supreme, and all of these other incarnations are from the source. The source is Krishna himself. So pastime involving Lord Vishnu, who took the demigods to the spiritual world, to Golok Vrindavan. And when they got an opportunity to see Krishna, they asked first, they were told what was the business, them coming, they explained. The demigods were kind of helping Mother Bhumi, who was saying that the demons were troubling her so much, and somehow, Lord Vishnu should help them. Lord Vishnu took them to Krishna. And before Krishna heard them, there was one thing that he showed them. The different Lord Vishnus appeared one by one. They merged into Krishna. And other types of expansions of the Lord. Narayan Rishi, he appeared and merged into Krishna. And Shringadev appeared. This is in front of the demigods now in Golok Vrindavan. And he merged into Krishna. So this was to show that all of these expansions in the different avatars are all part of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the expansions from him. He is the source. And when the demigods saw that, they immediately broke into prayers to praise the Supreme Personality of Godhead and acknowledge the supremacy of the Lord, that he is the supreme and everything comes through him. So in this age, as it is in every age, he protects the world through his different features. Sometimes he comes in a particular feature to protect one devotee of the Lord who is totally submitted to the Lord. For example, in the case of Prahlad Maharaj, who was going to be killed by his father, Hiranyakashipu, the Lord appeared. Hiranyakashipu was killed by the Lord, even though he had some boons from Lord Brahma that in many ways he couldn't be killed. But you can't mess with Krishna. Krishna is a source of intelligence. So he killed Hiranyakashipu anyway, as a half man, half lion, Shringadev. And as devotees, we are supposed to chant the mantras for Lord Shringadev for protection. That's who we go to for protection, not any demigod. I know there are some people who like to go to other demigods for protection, and one particular one, but he's actually literally a follower of Shringadev anyway. I'm talking about Lord Ganesh. Some people try to pray to him for protection, but it isn't necessary. Srila Prabhupada is directing us to the Shringadev, who will protect his devotee. If we protect Prahlad, he will protect us if we are connected to him in sincerity. So, Srimad Bhagavatam, Etetam Sakala Punsam, Krishna Stu Bhagavan Swayam, and he protects us. Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Vidayanti Yuge Yuge. So, now, Srila Prabhupada in the purport is saying, this is from the Bhagavatam, the same text is there. The personality of Godhead is distinguished from other incarnations. So, out of his causeless mercy, the Lord descends from his transcendental abode. What does he do? Well, he comes to excite devotees, and he also comes to eliminate the miscreants. And as even is eliminating the miscreants, he still gives them the mercy by allowing them to, at the very least, go to the part of the spiritual world where they can merge into the effulgence of the Lord, the Brahma Jyoti, at the very least. So even if he is killing, he's still giving mercy. Everything about the Lord is good. So the different avatars, they come. Avatar means one who descends from a higher realm down. So the Lord himself and other avatars of the Lord, they come on different planets in the material world, and also in different species of life. Matsya, Varaha, and so on. Depending on what he's going to do. The Lord is not a fish, but he can take the form of a fish because there's something to be done in the ocean. So in different ways, he takes on different species for his pastime. Sometimes to save his devotee, and sometimes just for doing different pastimes. He'll come like that. So the Lord is incredible, and his activities, it's out of this. It's wonderful. If I could describe it in greater, words than wonderful, I would. But we are very fortunate. Let's just put it this way: very, very, very fortunate to be connected to the Lord. We have to thank Srila Prabhupada forever. The whole idea of the Lord's pastimes is to excite us. We see his prowess, and that would convince us to stay with the Lord. and stay with the instructions given by the Lord in Bhagavad Gita, and stay with the Lord because of his devotees describing who is like in Srimad Bhagavatam. And at the same time, we realize that we have all the protection we could ever want, because there are demons greater than even what's in the world now on this small planet, and he's able to easily dispose of them. So it's all to tell us, come back to the Lord. Don't stay in the material world and try to make the material world a place where you're going to be comfortable, because it's not going to happen. There is temporary situation that not very long ago, literally about 3 days ago, my oldest half sister, we have the same mother, she's 84 years old, left the body. And I know when she has a house, she had a business, she had fishing business, this was in Ghana, and she had so many other things. But she suffered because old age makes your body go through problems. And then, in one sense, I was relieved to hear that she had left the body, because she was going through so many problems. She could only sit for 2 hours a day. The rest of the time, she had to be in bed. But the point is, everything here is temporary. So you can live a decent life here. But for a devotee, the most important thing is to make sure that whatever we have, especially as grahastas, sannyasis don't really keep much. They're renounced. But grahastas, because we are still, most of us are grahastas, we're still in connection with the material energy. We have children we have to take care of. And so that's all they're there for. Acquire these things, material things. Never be attached to them. One of the easier ways to be attached to is always be thinking of how we can use the material things that we have to serve the Lord's devotees. To serve the Lord's devotees. Many of you were thinking that I was going to say to serve the Lord. No, to serve the Lord's devotees first. Why? Because Krishna says, Mat Bhakta Puja Vyadikam. When you offer puja to my devotee, I'm more pleased than even when you offer it directly to me. He says that the person who is saying that, oh Krishna, I'm yours, I'm a devotee for you. Krishna says, no. You have to think in terms, and you have to live life in terms of being a devotee of the Lord. That's why we have the parampara. So when you have a devotee who is serving the spiritual master is a disciple of another spiritual master, who is a disciple of another spiritual master. Therefore, you're serving a servant of a servant of a servant of a servant of the Lord. Therefore, the Lord accepts you as his devotee. And that's the way it should be. Now, a more humble position is to serve devotees. Not the spiritual master, serve devotees, regular devotees around you. There's a huge advantage in doing that. One, when we are serving other devotees, helping them in all ways possible that we can, our relationship with those devotees improves. If you do something nice for someone, needless to say, they will never become your enemy. They'll be your friend the whole time. As a matter of fact, you might even get help from them when you need it. So the relationship becomes a wonderful relationship, one devotee to the other. Now, one of the things that's important is we should speak respectfully to each other, not just do nice things for each other and turn around and then speak in an unpalatable way. The devotee uses palatable words the whole time, mild words the whole time. A devotee doesn't insult another person. So that's the way we should be. We should be that towards other devotees, but we should be that towards all people anyway. When other people offend us and we're getting angry, and we know that we may say something that is harsh, we should pray that our intelligence kicks in, and if we don't have anything good to say, physically leave the place. If the person has insulted you and you walk away, they'll understand it is because of the insult to you that you did that. But you don't insult back, because if they've insulted you, they've done something wrong. You insult them, you've done something wrong. And two wrongs don't make a right. It's just tit for tat. And tit for tat for kami people who don't understand transcendence. So like that, we treat devotees very nicely and even give them surprises, gifts that they're not expecting, we give to them. This is how those of us that our aim is Krishna Prema. We want love of Godhead. But what do? We give things to God? We can't. Why? He owns everything. What are you going to give him that he doesn't have? He's a supreme parent. Everything came from him. But when you give to his spots and parcels, who don't own everything, that's us. If you give to other devotees, then the supreme parent is impressed. So how you impress Krishna and show that you care about Krishna is to give to Krishna's parts and parcels. So first, you learn to relate well and to love his devotees. And from doing that, then we connect with the spiritual master. We will learn to love the spiritual master. Many of us have reverence, respect for the spiritual master. But when we begin to be of service to the devotees and relate nicely to them, then you will see that the spiritual master and we, our relationships will actually be very strong. The spiritual master is not an ordinary person. You say, but how, if I'm relating to another devotee, how would the spiritual master know and be happy with me? The answer is, he will know. Why? Because Krishna makes it possible. Krishna, he's connected with Krishna. So there are some things that he would know. There was one devotee that was advised by Chandamali Swami when he came to Harrisburg. First time that devotee met Chandamali Swami. Mm-hmm. So we're taking darshan. They happened to be at our house, on Sri and I, the house doing. And then in the middle of it, it's almost like for us, we can say it came out of nowhere. But it's not really like that. Krishna is in control of everything. So in the matter of speaking, it came out of nowhere. He questioned that particular devotee's japa. This is not a disciple of Chandamali Swami. Still, he questioned, so you're not doing your japa properly. How do you know? And many times there are some devotees, some of godbrothers of mine, Bhakti Maharaj is advising them, and somebody said, how did you know, Maharaj? Well, gurus are not ordinary persons. They're connected with Krishna. So what is needed for us to grow in Krishna consciousness will be told to the Guru. So the Guru can transmit it to us. Mm-hmm. So if we serve devotees nicely, Guru will automatically know. And the relationship between ourselves and Guru will improve very much so. Very, 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 very much. Be very, very nice. Now you will get another point. When we are relating well to devotees and we're taking our spiritual life seriously at the same time, of course, devotional service, bhakti, is our life. You will get more opportunities to serve. We'll get more opportunities to serve. Now, if we get opportunities that put us in a situation where now we have managerial positions or some other type of leadership positions, and the service is coming, we should never, ever let it get to our heads and say, oh, well, now I'm advanced. No. Lord Chaitanya never looked at himself as an advanced devotee. Never did. And he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In front of his spiritual master, he called himself a fool. Krishna is showing us how to be a devotee. That was his consciousness. I'm just a fool. So Srila Prabhupada explains that it doesn't matter how well educated you are materially. In front of your spiritual master, when you're speaking to spiritual master is speaking, and you're inquiring, because when you inquire, obviously you have to speak to him when you're inquiring. Be humble. And don't think that you know more than the spiritual master does. Ever. Don't think you know more. Because he's connected to Krishna better than you are. He's connected to Krishna better than I am. Therefore, what's needed for my spiritual life, he'd be able to advise me in better ways than I myself, even praying to the Lord, can get. We have to put the spiritual master in that position, that understanding that he's a representative of Krishna. I'll tell you one story involving Srila Prabhupada and Srila Prabhupada's disciples, and then we'll stop. So, Srila Prabhupada was explaining in a temple room. And usually at that time, a lot of people come. He drawing courses, Shakti is, no, you don't even kind of describe it. It's for the whole world. It's the guru for the whole world. So he was explaining about book distribution. And he explained how devotees can go about doing book distribution, that they would be quite effective. So there were a couple of disciples of his who were in the temple room, sitting next to each other. They were friends. They were listening to Srila Prabhupada. And after Srila Prabhupada described how to go about distributing books, they didn't think that from a business standpoint, and they had been in business for a while, that it was going to work so well. So they raised their hand, and this was question and answer time. They brought up the point that Srila Prabhupada, you described that this is how we should go about distributing books from the point of view of business, and then it went to some explanation. We doubt that this strategy is going to work so well. The Buddhists didn't say anything. Srila Prabhupada responded by repeating how he had asked the devotees to distribute books, the method. He repeated it. And these two devotees says, that's what we're talking about, Srila Prabhupada. We don't think it's going to work. Then this time, Srila Prabhupada said, all right, you're going out to distribute books. So you distribute your books the way you're thinking of. So that's how this was ended. So, of course, it was a morning program. Class was over. People had prasadam, got the books, went into town, started distributing. All devotees, these two devotees were there also. At the end of the day, many of the devotees that used Srila Prabhupada's strategy that he taught them, listen to the spiritual master, they had distributed quite well. What happened to those two who were using their own business knowledge? They did extremely poorly. They couldn't distribute well. And the thing is, when the devotees met again, it was obvious who had distributed and who had not. Many of the books that these two took with them to distribute were still with them. And the other devotees that used Srila Prabhupada's strategy had practically finished. They had practically nothing. The books were all gone. So it was obvious. And unfortunately, these two became so embarrassed, they never returned to the temple. They were too embarrassed. So the spiritual master, the point we're making is spiritual master is not an ordinary being. When they tell you to do something, yes, you should do it. When they give you a strategy to use, that's what you should use. No matter what you think, no matter what your mind is telling you, do that first. Do what he tells you to do, or she tells you to do, as even gurus do. Then you'll be fine. So this incarnation of the Lord is to excite devotees and to also get rid of demons. And many, many empowered incarnations, especially the Shaktivesh incarnations, Lord Maharaj Prithu and Narada Muni, who travels a lot, Lord Buddha, who helped when people were using the different things in the Shastra, but for their own palate. They wanted to kill animals in the different pujas and in the sacrifices that they could have the animal flesh. Lord Buddha came and changed that. So even some of the simplest things that people are doing wrongly, an incarnation will come and correct that. And also excite devotees. Matsyavata Kurma, the tortoise, that was the situation where the demons and the demons, the demigods, they cooperated for once to try to churn the milk ocean to get a nectar of immortality. And they were not that successful in the beginning. So the Lord came as the tortoise incarnation. The mountain that was being used to churn the ocean, the milk ocean, was put on the back. The Lord crawled on the back, or the very bottom, not the back, the bottom of the mountain. And then the rope is actually a snake, Vasuki, the demigods on one side, demons on the other side, were able to churn the ocean, the milk ocean. And then later on, the Lord came as Mohini Murti. So many incarnations, even based on what people want, the Lord can, in fact, come in a particular incarnation. As we talked about Prahlad Maharaj, that he was a devotee, staunch devotee of the Lord, and his father was a demon, and the father wanted to get rid of him because he was a devotee. And the Lord came and killed Hiranyakashipu. So he was there for us. If we take this process seriously, we will go back to the spiritual world, especially Golok Vrindavan is phenomenal. And the things that happen, the most wonderful thing in Golok Vrindavan is not even how it's set up, but Krishna's own activities, how he relates to the devotees. It's the sweetest you can ever think of. We were actually, a few of us are in the process of meeting. We had Bhagavatam Mita 3 days a week. And Krishna's, when he even meets a devotee that's been in the material world and is returning to the spiritual world, Krishna goes out of his way to give such a wonderful welcome. And that's in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, how Gopakumara was met by Krishna. Which means, if we take this process seriously, as Sri Papa says, try to finish this business and go back. There are wars all around us, so obviously it's not going to get better here on this planet. When we go back, Krishna will really give us a wonderful welcome that we could never have imagined. And he goes out of his way to make us feel so welcome and so loved. And that's what's waiting for us. And going forward at that time, all our anxieties are gone. And we will live a very wonderful life in service to the servants of the servants of the servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna has done all, more than what he needs to do for us to go back. It's just a question of our changing our minds. Do we really want to go? That's the best thing for ourselves. If we really want to go, then we should plan to. But this planet is about to have all kinds of wars. It's already started. There's so much friction internationally. So there's no place to stay. Don't be afraid of death. Krishna is going to come take us all and take us back to the spiritual world if we take our sadhana seriously. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So thank you for coming on this morning. We all learn. I'm also speaking, but by the mercy of my Guru and Guranga, the ideas are coming like that. This is the time to unmute yourself, if you have questions, if you have realizations you want to say, or some connecting dots. That means some of the things we talked about here added to some things, or connecting to some things you know about. You can unmute yourself and express. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay. So any questions?
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisance and
That's fine. Go Srila Prabhupada. Jai.
One real thank you for this wonderful class. Chaitanya Charitamrita is not an easy, at least not for me. It's very high level postgraduate, so it's really, really nice to hear this class. One of my realizations that you were speaking about, is we live in an era or an age or yuga, all of the above, where we don't develop, we lack the etiquette of submissive inquiry, I feel. When you're sharing this pastime of Prabhupada and his disciples about book distribution, right? And I was thinking of other pastimes also that Srila Prabhupada has, that this similar situation has happened, is that, that mode of submissive inquiry, because we live in an age where we think we got the answers, we got it all figured out, we know more than the average person, or we have the brains. One person one time told me, "Oh, Mataji, I have the brain of 3 people." I was like, "Oh, glories to you," because I don't, and I'm very happy that I have only one brain. It's kind of difficult to maintain if I get 3 brains. So I was just thinking that we lack the the etiquette of submissive inquiry, how to ask questions, how to ask it in a submissive way, whether it be to our spiritual master or whether it be to our seniors. How to phrase the question, how, rather than coming out as I know it statements, and even if it's question, the question shouldn't be in a challenging, argumentative, debatable, debate mood. It has to be submissive. That's why in Nectar of Instruction, we've heard in many other Shastra, submissive inquiry is what is really lacking today, because that's my realization is submissive inquiry is what's lacking today. And I think sometimes when we get too familiar with seniors, with your Prabhupada, I mean, with the proper disciples or gurus or, devotees, we forget that very important Vaishnav etiquette, submissive inquiry, as opposed to, of course, if someone is in a leadership, that's a different story. I'm not talking about leadership. I'm just talking about, practicing devotees across the board. That I think if we were to develop that mood of submissive inquiry, it really builds good relationships and good communities, good devotee association. So just wanted to share that. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, speaking about that submissive inquiry, of course, in the Bhagavad Gita, Tat Vidi Panipatina Paripashnena Sevaya, when you approach the spiritual master, you inquire submissively. Inquire submissively. You don't, that means you do not inquire in a challenging mood. I know, and this, not go into a debate with the spiritual master. Never, ever. You just listen. Nobody tells you you do. And also serve him, of course. That's very important. But with other devotees too, one of the easy ways, especially if somebody is speaking to a senior to you, our peers, we can just talk things as they are, respectfully, but one of the simple ways, especially if you have a suggestion, but you're talking to someone senior to you or someone in management, it's always a good idea not to bring the point out in a statement. It's better to bring it out in a question form. Form a question out of the idea that you have. So it's always like that. When you bring it up, we'll explain both situations, when you actually bring it up as a statement and when you bring it up as a question. When you bring it up as a statement, it may be taken or it may be rejected. And if it's, devotees are there and the statement gets rejected, you might feel a little embarrassed. And it might affect the relationship later on between you and that particular devotee, the senior devotee. You might not want to be around them. You might even start avoiding them. That can happen. So if you have a suggestion, then it's a question of, and you put it out as a statement, they may agree to it, they may not agree to it, and you take the chance of them agreeing or not agreeing. But let's look at the other way. So you have an idea, but you phrase it into a question. Now, the person that is the senior or the management person has to answer the question. And when they answer the question, they have the choice of, based on the answer that they bring it out, either agreeing with you, that's a good idea, or they can answer the question by changing a part of it or correcting or showing you or describing a bigger picture based on the question that you asked. But it's never embarrassing because you just put a question out and they just answering the question. Question and answer is something that goes on all the time. See, the Prabhupada preaches, when he finishes, is there any questions? Like that. So there never will be a situation where you get embarrassed if you ask a question. And if you ask a question also, just the fact that you asking the question, you're being respectful to the person that's answering you. Whether it's guru or senior devotee, it doesn't matter. You're being respectful because you're not, statement can sometimes mean you're dictating, I have a better idea. But when you ask a question, what do you think about this? They're going to say yes or no with explanation. So this is how you humbly bring your point about. It's better to use questions. And I can tell you instances where, somebody put a statement out and the guru just tore the person up. And the next person asked the question and the guru answered it very nicely because it was a question, not a statement. So that's some of the things that I've learned that I'm very much aware of that I use. Hare Krishna. Any other questions? If not, there is one question in the chat. We're going to go to that. Shimati Mataji, just appreciating the class when you have to leave. Well, thank you, Mataji. It's all glories to Guru and Gauranga. So, Dhiraj Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisance. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for the class, for the amazing class. He said this, Guru and Gauranga, they get the credit. So many important points he spoke about being the servant of a servant and the position of Guru. And the importance of his instructions. And he has a question. Says, no one can know the Supreme Personality of Godhead fully. So the demigods are also devotees of the Lord. Is it that also that they cannot know the Lord fully? In one word, yes. Yes means they cannot know the Lord fully. Actually, in English, you're supposed to say no, they cannot know the Lord fully. So the answer is they cannot know the Lord fully, just like you're thinking. They may know more about the Lord. They may have sometimes chance to be around the Lord. That happens. We are around the Lord too, but in a deity form. The demigods may know more than us. The demigods have way higher IQ than we do, and they have more abilities materially than we do, but they are also devotees of the Lord, and they are subject to some of the frailties that we also have, especially false ego. But they are really personalities that live in the mode of goodness. That's one thing that's great about the demigods. They're Brahminical in their approach to things. But only because there's so much wealth in the heavenly planets, sometimes they are Mishra Bhaktis, mixed. They know Krishna, but also they just like, all of that wealth. And that affects even us, people who are rich, very rich. How many people take God seriously, God consciousness seriously? So, and that's not like the demigods. The demigods know about Krishna. Sometimes they even get to go to Krishna's abode, depending on the situation, especially when they're in trouble from the demons. Then they go to the Lord, and sometimes they get to go to the Lord's abode with Lord Brahma. But no, they cannot, nobody knows the Lord fully. Ananta Shesh cannot describe the glories of the Lord fully. And he's an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead from Balaram. He has multiple mouths. And he can't describe the Lord fully. So no one can know the Lord fully, just like we don't. Hare Krishna. Any other questions?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your answer, Prabhu. Thank you so much for the answer, Prabhu. Can you hear me? I'll go.
Dheeraj Prabhu was audible, but Pariksit Prabhu went mute, kind of. Hare Krishna Prabhu, I cannot hear Pariksit Prabhu.
Is he talking?
Yeah, Pariksit Prabhu is talking, but I cannot hear him.
Let me go up and wait.
Well,
There you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Now we can. We missed like good 30 seconds of what you said.
Oh my goodness! it was about Dhiraj anyway. Directly, it was just to him. So it doesn't really matter for me to complete. I was just trying to see whether he was on still, because I have to. Yeah, he is on. All right, no problem. I was just trying to find out, and then I got. But in front of me, the microphone icon said I was unmuted though. But if you can hear me now, fine. Let's go on. This is just a technical hitch. Any other questions or comments?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jai.
I don't see my hand raised, so I'm just directly asking Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
yes, you can unmute yourself and talk. That's no problem with that.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, my humble obeisances, all glory to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for
Hare
the
Krishna.
class and explaining about creation. Just a question, like as you mentioned, like one who knows about this creation, the Mahavishnu creator, is a liberator.
Yeah.
So always like listen about this creation. Whenever we listen, we get that faith that Krishna is the creator, Krishna is everything. But also we have attachment being in the grahastha life. We are not
Yes.
completely surrender. So how should we understand this? Like how this attachment will go away?
It's as Chanamai one time made the statement. It's work in progress. It's an ongoing process. Purification, this is what's going to happen. The answer is when we get to the point where the attachments are no longer there, then we are fully purified. It's a gradual process. When we hear and we chant, when we hear a class, it's purifying. We get to know more, you get more convinced and then more excited about the spiritual aspect of life. And the more excited we get about the spiritual aspect of life, the less attached we are to the material aspect of life, especially when we realize it's all temporary. And whatever we're thinking about materially, this is how we talk to the mind. Mana Shiksha. Instructing the mind, whatever I have now in my possession, first, it doesn't belong to me. It doesn't. It's only with me for the time being. It's almost like it's been assigned to me for the time being. That's all. Like I was talking about my older half sister, he died 2 years ago. He has a nice house. Does he own the house now? Nope. She's gone. He can't have it anymore. Even if she was born again in this world, she still won't have the house because she have a different name, different gender. If she came to live in the same town, she'll have to buy a different house. So everything is temporary. So, just like it says in Bhagavad Gita chapter 5, text 22, Yehi samspasa jaboga, we just don't get attached to an intelligent person says these things are temporary. They have a beginning, they have an end. The whole universe itself will have an end. So why should I get so attached to things here? It all starts with the mind. When you begin to instruct the mind, let me be more excited about connecting with devotees and Radha Krishna and Lord Chaitanya. That's where permanent happiness is and permanent life is. So we got to speak to the mind. And all right, so I have all these attachments, these material things. Is it bad to have them? Not if we use them to serve Krishna. So that's the other thing. We use them to serve Krishna, then we are actually transferring our attachment to the material things for ourselves, which means a selfish attachment. Now we're transferring to attachment to Krishna. So even when it comes to contributions, all right, you may be somebody that contributes a specific amount every month to the temple or, whatever project. Start contributing a little more. It's not going to kill you, believe me, because there's some money that sometimes we don't use properly, we even waste it. Contribute a little more. The more you give to Krishna, the less attached you get to the material. The more you give to Krishna, the less attached to the material that you have. If not that regular one, then maybe for a particular function like the Rath Yatra, people contribute for Rath Yatra, give more this year than you gave last year, like that. But at some point, give more to Krishna. The great thing about it is you get detached from the material energy, but Krishna, when you serve him, he's going to give you more opportunity to serve him. Sometimes even financially, he will give you more because you just want to serve him. Then you open your heart. So then the connection with the Lord, the loving connection gets increased. You become happier and you become more detached from the material energy. It's all about giving more, giving of your heart more. Not to Krishna only, to devotees too, especially to devotees. You give gifts to them. The things that they don't expect at all, then you got it for them. It's very nice. So that's how we disconnect from material energy. Hare Krishna. Very
nice.
good question, Mataji.
Yeah, thank you very much. Very beautiful. You said like more you give to Krishna, the less attachment. And attachment comes from mind. That's a good point. I like it. Yeah. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
speak to the mind. Speak to the mind. So the Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj says, beat the mind. If the mind wants to put us in mind, just imagine beating the mind. Hey, I want to go home. Don't take me to this material nonsense again. Enough of lifetimes of living like that. I don't want it anymore. You can speak to the mind. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Raghu. Very nice.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna's mercy, Guru's mercy. Any other questions?
Can I add a little bit to
Absolutely. Go ahead.
one point? Thank you. In addition to what Pariksit said, which is actually definitely all correct. One extra point is we want to make sure that we're in the right association. Sometimes we use the word association very loosely, and we think anybody who's a devotee is right association. For example, if we are we all have children, and and our kids who are in first grade, second grade, third grade, everybody in the first grade class are students. Everybody's going to school, but that doesn't mean that every kid in the first grade are grade A students. You have grade A, you have grade B students, grade C, and some who are failures. And some who are gifted, and some who are special disability children. There's so many different kinds, right? So that's the same way in Krishna consciousness, that we have to choose the right association. If we aspire to want to be detached, then we should associate with those devotees who can help us healthily, not just false renunciation. I would never do false renunciation, but definitely associate with devotees who can help us to aim towards that goal of how to be detached and what are the steps, as opposed to hanging out with devotees who just, and there are devotees in ISKCON that do that. They just want to talk about this and that and everything else that's not Krishna conscious. So we have to pick the right association, and it also begins with us. What are we aspiring for in Krishna consciousness? Where do I want to be 5 years from now? Where do I want to be 10 years from now? Like I was reading a very nice quote from Kripamoya Prabhu, proper disciple in UK, and I never heard this before, but again, it's so nice to hear from, to get different quotes. He said that from one Ekadasi to the next, we have to ask ourselves, where was I in the last Ekadasi, Krishna consciously, and where am I now in this Ekadasi? So that's like every 2 weeks evaluation, let alone, which is like, wow, do we have, again, Kali Yuga, do I have time for that? But it's like so it starts with us. What am I aspiring for? Where do I want to be? Where do I want to go? What do I want to do? What I want to be detached with? And really, and the more we think about that, we attract that. There's a class that my spiritual master gave many years ago. Who you are is what you attract. If we are gossipers, we attract gossipers. If we are aspiring for for detachment, we attract those who will help us go on that path. If we are attracted to service, then we will attract those who are really into service. So again, who we are is what we attract. So it all begins with us. If we have the right aspiration with the right purpose, the right goal, Krishna will make the arrangements to attract the right devotees to us to help us to grow. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Yes. So, yes, the association is very important, the kind of association. Be respectful across the board to all devotees. Be respectful, be nice across the board to all devotees. But those who obviously from the assembly of devotees or congregation that have been doing this for a while, and their behavior shows that they are fixed up, you associate with them. You associate with them. You say, how do I associate with them? Well, one of the easy ways is when we finish a program, you go to the room that you go to for Prashadam, People serve, they just take the prasadam and they sit down. You make sure that you sit right next to the person that you know you can get more help from in Krishna consciousness, because everybody can sit anywhere. Don't necessarily do, oh, my friends. Yes, you can be with your friends, but your friends, you can communicate by texting them. Even that you could do. But if you want more, you go sit next to the person that you know you will get more Krishna consciousness from. Just go sit there. Sit across from them something and just Hare Krishna Prabhuji, and then ask them a question. And then conversation starts. Next thing you know, you've gotten so much more that will help you in the Buddhi life. So use Prashadam time like that and go associate. And now you've established a connection between someone who would actually help you. Even in a mundane example, if you're going to play tennis and you play tennis and you go always to your friend who is a beginner just like you never improve and he will never improve. But if you go play with somebody that knows better, you're going to pick up some points from him to improve your own game. So like that, in Krishna consciousness too. Go be with a person. The easier place is Prashadam time. You can just go right to them, sit close to them. Sometimes not even saying much. If they are talking and you sit close to them, you can pick up a lot of stuff from them to help improve in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. Any final questions? If not, then thank you very much for coming on. And we got to do some little Krishna Katha. We all benefit from it, by the mercy of Guru and Guranga. So have a nice, wonderful weekend coming up. Nice, wonderful weekend. Vanchakalpa through Vishta Kripa Sundivya Evacha Titanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Sure. Thank you so
Hare
much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Dandavat
Hare
pranam.
Krishna.
Thank you
Glory
so
to
much, Prabhu.
Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Glory to Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.